Welcome back, everyone. Our last deep dive was so fascinating, we just had to come back for more.
Yeah, we barely scratched the surface.
Right, there was just so much to cover. So, to quickly recap, we were talking about the possibility of spaceships in the Bible,
Yeah, that's right.
taking a look at these ancient descriptions through a different lens.
Exactly.
And we talked about the Kavod, this massive, awe-inspiring vessel.
Yes, the descriptions are incredible.
It really gets the imagination going, doesn't it?
For sure.
But this time,
Okay.
we're diving into a different type of biblical spaceship,
All right.
the Milla, also known as the Magilla.
Now, this one is really interesting.
It is, and we didn't get to it last time.
A lot of people don't know about the Milla.
Yeah, it's kind of hidden in plain sight.
Kind of like a lot of this stuff.
So tell us about it.
Well, the prophet Zechariah describes seeing a flying scroll in a vision.
A flying scroll.
Yeah, and he doesn't just mention it in passing, he gives us specific dimensions too.
Really?
Yeah, 30 cubits long by 15 cubits wide.
30 cubits, that's huge.
Think about it.
Like the size of a billboard or a small room.
Exactly, and that's what makes this so compelling. It suggests something tangible, something real, not just a metaphorical image.
Right, because why give such specific dimensions for something that's just symbolic?
Exactly. It suggests Zechariah saw something concrete, something he felt the need to describe accurately.
Okay, so if we're going with the idea that the Milla was a real object, a real spaceship, what was its purpose?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Why a scroll?
Right.
Why not a flying chariot or something a bit more, I don't know, aerodynamic?
Excellent questions. And unfortunately, the text doesn't give us those answers directly.
So we're left to speculate,
In a way, yes.
to look at the details and try to piece together the puzzle.
Exactly. Connect the dots and see what picture emerges.
And speaking of puzzles, you mentioned something last time about flying scrolls appearing in other ancient cultures.
I did.
Now, that really piqued my curiosity.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah, so what's the connection?
Well, the Milla isn't an isolated concept. The image of a flying vehicle resembling a scroll or carpet appears in folklore and mythology worldwide.
Like flying carpets.
Exactly. Think of those stories from the Middle East. The Arabian Nights.
Right, flying carpets. Everyone knows those stories, but I never connected them with the Bible.
It's interesting, isn't it? Makes you wonder if there's a common thread there, a shared memory of something real.
Shared memory, wow. So we've got flying scrolls in the Bible, flying carpets in the Middle East. Anything else?
Oh, there's more. If we look beyond the Middle East, we find similar descriptions of chariot-like flying vehicles in ancient Hindu texts,
Really? Like what?
like the Mahabharata, for example.
Yeah, so we're talking about ancient India now.
Mm-hmm.
Flying chariots in India, flying scrolls in the Bible, flying carpets in the Middle East.
It's a pattern, isn't it?
Like pieces of a global puzzle, all pointing towards the possibility of ancient flying machines.
It's certainly something to think about.
Okay, so let's get back to the Bible for a minute.
Yeah.
Besides the Milla, are there other descriptions of spaceships we should explore?
Absolutely. Remember the Merkabah we talked about in our last deep dive?
Oh yeah, the Merkabah.
Now, it's often associated with Jewish mysticism and spiritual journeys,
Right.
but it also appears in the Bible as a physical vehicle.
Does it? Where?
In 1 Chronicles 28.9, it's described as the chariot of the cherubim.
Oh, right. The chariot, the cherubim. But if I'm remembering correctly, we were looking at the cherubim not as angels,
That's right.
but as another type of spaceship.
Exactly. So we have this multi-layered concept here.
Okay, break that down for me.
The Merkabah as a physical chariot, possibly a spaceship, and the cherubim potentially representing another type of spacecraft connected to the Merkabah in some way.
So we're talking about the Merkabah chariot being driven by cherubim spaceships.
It's a lot to wrap your head around, I know.
It is, but it's also kind of amazing.
It is. It really challenges our conventional interpretations.
Right. And when we open our minds to those alternative interpretations, those seemingly outlandish descriptions.
They start to make a little more sense, don't they?
Exactly. But let's not forget the mystical side of the Merkabah.
Right.
You mentioned Jewish mystics using it for spiritual travel.
Yes, the Merkabah plays a big role in Jewish mystical traditions,
Okay.
particularly in Kabbalah.
And how does it fit in there?
It's seen as a spiritual vehicle that can be used to ascend to higher realms of existence.
Whoa. A spiritual spaceship?
You could say that.
So are we talking about interdimensional travel here?
That's the idea. Jewish mystics believed that through meditation and intense spiritual practices, one could activate the Merkabah and journey to other realms.
That's wild.
But it was considered a dangerous undertaking, fraught with peril.
Like what kind of peril?
Well, the texts talk about all sorts of challenges and temptations along the way.
So it's like Indiana Jones, but with spaceships and mystical realms instead of ancient artifacts.
That's a great analogy.
Okay, so let me get this straight. We've got the Milla, this giant flying scroll,
Yes.
and the Merkabah, a chariot driven by cherubim spaceships
Possibly. Yeah.
that can also be used for spiritual travel.
It's a multifaceted concept, that's for sure.
It is. My mind is officially blown.
That's what we're here for. But remember, these are just two examples.
Right.
There are many other intriguing descriptions in the Bible that could point towards the presence of advanced technology in ancient times.
This is incredible. It's like we're uncovering a hidden history,
I like that, a hidden history.
a secret narrative woven into these ancient texts.
It's all right there, waiting to be discovered.
It makes you wonder what else is hiding in plain sight.
Exactly. That's what keeps us coming back for more, isn't it? The thrill of the unknown.
It certainly does. Okay, so before we get too carried away with spaceships, let's talk about the Ruach for a minute.
All right.
You briefly mentioned it last time, and it's connected to this idea of terraforming.
Right. That's right.
Now, refresh my memory on that, because to be honest, last time I was so focused on the spaceships themselves, I think I missed some of the nuances.
That's understandable. There was a lot to take in.
So, remind me, what's the deal with Ruach and terraforming?
Well, the Ruach is a Hebrew word often translated as wind or spirit,
Okay, I remember that.
but some scholars believe it could also describe a type of spaceship.
A spaceship?
Yeah, one that was used for manipulating weather patterns and shaping the landscape.
Wait, are you serious? Terraforming? Like, these biblical spaceships might have actually been involved in shaping our planet.
That's the theory. Think about the book of Genesis, for instance.
Okay.
It says that God moved over the face of the waters,
Right.
or how after the flood, a wind is described as drying up the waters.
I vaguely remember that, yeah.
What if those weren't just metaphors?
What if they were literal descriptions of technology being used to terraform Earth?
Exactly. It's a radical idea, but it fits with what we're seeing.
Wow. This is getting seriously mind-blowing, so we're not just talking about spaceships flying around. We're talking about technology that could alter the very fabric of our world.
That's the implication.
This changes everything.
It does make you think, doesn't it? About the origins of our planet, the role of advanced civilizations.
And whether what we consider natural might actually be the result of something far more extraordinary.
It challenges everything we thought we knew.
This is going to be hard to process, but I'm definitely intrigued. So, where do we go from here? How do we fit this Ruach technology into the bigger picture?
Well, I think it's time to bring the Kavod back into the equation.
The Kavod?
Remember we were talking about it being this massive, awe-inspiring vessel?
Right, and if it was involved in interstellar travel, it would need some serious power.
Exactly, and that's where the Ruach might come in.
You think the Kavod might have used Ruach technology?
It's definitely a possibility. Think about the descriptions of the Kavod being surrounded by fire and clouds.
Right, like it's harnessing natural forces.
Exactly. What if the Ruach wasn't just a separate spaceship, but a technology integrated into the Kavod itself?
So instead of just being a wind or spirit, the Ruach could be like a technology for controlling energy.
It's possible.
Maybe manipulating gravity or weather patterns to power these massive ships.
That's one interpretation. And it really raises the question of just how advanced these ancient civilizations might have been.
It challenges our entire understanding of technological development.
It does, doesn't it? We tend to think of ourselves as the pinnacle of progress. But what if we're rediscovering knowledge that was lost or forgotten centuries ago?
What if those ancient stories are reflections of a level of understanding that we're only now beginning to grasp?
It's a humbling thought.
It is. And it makes you realize that maybe, just maybe, we're not as unique or as advanced as we think we are.
Perhaps we're standing on the shoulders of giants.
And only now beginning to understand their legacy.
It's a fascinating journey, isn't it? Uncovering these hidden truths, piecing together the fragments of a forgotten past.
It is. I'm starting to see those ancient texts in a completely different light.
That's what this deep dive is all about.
It's like we're decoding a secret message, uncovering a hidden history that's been right in front of us all along.
It's amazing what we can find when we start to look with new eyes.
It is.
Yeah.
But this isn't just a biblical phenomenon, right?
Oh.
You mentioned similar accounts in other cultures,
Absolutely. This idea of ancient advanced civilizations.
possibly possessing technology beyond our current understanding.
That's right. It's not just found in the Bible.
We find these themes in myths and legends from all over the world.
It's a global phenomenon.
So it's not just a few isolated stories.
Nope.
It's a pattern, a global echo of something that might have actually happened.
It makes you wonder about the origins of these stories, doesn't it?
It does. Did they arise independently?
Or is there a common source, a shared memory of something real?
That's the big question, isn't it?
And the answer might be more complex than we imagine.
So what are we thinking?
Perhaps it's a combination of factors, a blend of real events, cultural interpretations, and the human desire to explain the unexplainable.
Makes sense. Okay, so we've got these incredible descriptions of spaceships, advanced technology, maybe even terraforming.
Mm-hmm.
But let's talk about the people who witnessed these events.
Okay.
How did they react? Did they understand what they were seeing?
That's a great question. We can only speculate, of course, but we can look for clues in the way those experiences were recorded and transmitted through generations.
Like we're playing detective.
Exactly. Piecing together fragments of a forgotten past, trying to understand the mindset of those who lived through these extraordinary events.
I like that. So what are we seeing? Any common threads?
Well, despite the cultural and geographical differences, there's a common thread in these ancient accounts.
Oh, and what is it?
The beings associated with these advanced technologies are often described as gods or angels.
But if we entertain the idea that these beings might have been extraterrestrial visitors,
Those descriptions take on a whole new meaning.
right, imagine witnessing the arrival of a Kavod, this massive fiery vessel descending from the sky.
You'd be awe-inspiring.
Terrifying, even,
No wonder those ancient people interpreted it as a divine manifestation.
right. It would be like seeing a god descend from the heavens, wielding technology so advanced that it would have defied comprehension.
Exactly, like something straight out of a science fiction movie.
Right, and consider the Ruach manipulating weather patterns.
Drying up floods, creating land.
To those ancient people, these events would have seemed miraculous.
A testament to the power of these gods.
So, are you suggesting that religion might have emerged as a response to contact with extraterrestrial beings?
It's a theory that some scholars propose, yes.
That's a pretty radical concept.
It is, but it makes you think, doesn't it?
It does. Think about the core tenets of many religions. The emphasis on obedience, on following a higher power.
Right.
It aligns with the idea of a more advanced civilization interacting with a less developed one.
It's like those ancient people and trying to understand and appease these powerful gods.
They inadvertently laid the foundation for many of the religious beliefs that persist to this day.
It's a fascinating possibility.
It really is. And it makes you wonder if those gods intended to be worshipped,
Or if it was simply a misunderstanding.
like a cosmic miscommunication.
You could say that.
What might have been seen as divine intervention in one context could be interpreted as advanced technology in another.
It highlights the importance of perspective.
Right, and that's why it's so important to approach these ancient texts with an open mind
To consider multiple interpretations.
and recognize that our understanding of the past is constantly evolving.
That's the beauty of exploration, isn't it? We're always learning, always discovering something new.
It certainly is. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
Spaceships, terraforming, the origins of religion,
What else?
even interdimensional travel.
Still a lot to process.
It is. But there's one more piece of the puzzle I want to discuss.
Okay, I'm listening.
The Malachim.
Ah, yes, the Malachim.
You mentioned them earlier, and I'm curious to learn more about their role in all of this.
They're a fascinating piece of the puzzle, that's for sure.
So tell me, who are the Malachim?
Well, the word Malachim is often translated as angels.
Angels.
But if we're operating under the assumption that we're dealing with spaceships and advanced technology, it stands to reason that these angels might have been something more than just ethereal beings with feathery wings.
So not just messengers from heaven, but space
It's-
messengers.
Exactly. It's a much more literal interpretation, but it fits with the overall picture.
Okay, I'm with you so far. But what exactly was their role? What did these space messengers do?
Well, let's think about it logically. If the Elohim, these powerful extraterrestrial beings, were piloting their Kavods and Ruachs.
Right.
They might have needed intermediaries to interact with humanity.
Okay, that makes sense.
So perhaps the Malachim were those intermediaries relaying information and instructions.
So they were like the diplomats.
Or ambassadors.
Yeah, the Elohim's representatives on Earth.
Precisely. Communicating with humans, maybe even guiding their development.
It's a thought-provoking idea.
It is, isn't it? And it makes sense when you consider the descriptions of angels appearing and disappearing.
Right, often accompanied by fire and light, like something descending from the sky.
Exactly. It's not hard to imagine those ancient people witnessing the arrival and departure of a spacecraft.
And interpreting it through the lens of their own understanding.
That's right. They were trying to make sense of something extraordinary, something beyond their comprehension.
Okay, so these Malachims were more than just messengers. They were like the Elohim's liaisons to humanity,
That's one way to look at it.
guiding our development, giving us instructions.
Perhaps even shaping our destiny.
That's a powerful concept.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder, what were those instructions?
What were they trying to teach us?
Were they trying to steer us in a particular direction?
Lead us down a certain path?
It's like we were being given a cosmic blueprint, but we didn't know how to read it.
Or maybe we're only just beginning to understand its meaning.
That's a fascinating thought. So we've got these Malachim, these space messengers, diplomats, maybe even guides.
And they play a key role in this cosmic narrative.
But how do they fit in with the Merkabah and the cherubim?
Ah, that's where things get really interesting.
Because remember, we were looking at those as spaceships too.
We were, weren't we?
So how do we connect the dots?
Well, let's think back to the Book of Chronicles,
Yep.
where the Merkabah is described as the chariot of the cherubim.
Right, and we were exploring the idea that the cherubim themselves might be spaceships.
That's right, so we have these multiple layers of potential spacecraft.
So are you thinking that the Malachim might have been pilots of these cherubim spaceships?
It's certainly a possibility. The text doesn't explicitly say that, but it's not out of the realm of interpretation.
And how would that connect to the larger Merkabah?
Well, think about the complexities of interstellar travel.
Good.
A hierarchy of vehicles makes sense, each with its own specialized function,
So like a mothership.
with smaller detachable craft.
The Merkabah as the flagship, the cherubim as escort vessels.
And the Malachim as the skilled navigators, guiding them through the vastness of space.
Now it's starting to sound like a science fiction epic.
I told you this was fascinating stuff.
You weren't kidding. And if we consider the Malachim as messengers, their role might have also involved communication between the different ships.
Relaying instructions, coordinating movements.
Like those scenes in sci-fi movies, where the crew on the bridge is talking to a smaller ship, guiding it on its mission.
Except in this case, the mission might have been something far more profound.
Maybe involving the shaping of our planet or the guidance of humanity.
These ancient texts offer glimpses into a reality that challenges our conventional understanding of history and our place in the cosmos.
You know, I've always loved those stories about chariots of fire and angels descending from the heavens.
They're powerful images, aren't they?
But I never imagined they could be descriptions of advanced technology and extraterrestrial encounters.
It's a whole new way of looking at those familiar tales.
It's like a whole new dimension has opened up.
And that's the beauty of approaching these ideas with an open mind.
We begin to see those ancient stories not just as religious texts or myths,
But as potential windows into a forgotten past.
a past that might be far more complex and wondrous than we ever imagined.
It's both exciting and a little bit daunting, isn't it?
It is. All these layers of meaning, all these possibilities.
It can feel a bit overwhelming.
It's like peering into the depths of a cosmic ocean, realizing just how much we don't know.
But that sense of awe and wonder is what drives us to explore, to question, to seek deeper understanding.
To push the boundaries of what we think we know.
And who knows, maybe by piecing together these ancient clues, we'll gain a new perspective on our own place in this vast and enigmatic universe.
That's a beautiful thought. So, where do we go from here? We've explored spaceships, terraforming, the origins of religion, even interdimensional travel. What's next in our cosmic investigation?
The journey continues. We've only just begun to scratch the surface of these ancient mysteries.
Really, there's more.
Oh, there's so much more. countless other texts, traditions, and archaeological sites waiting to be explored.
Wow, I had no idea.
And with each new discovery, our understanding of the past and the possibilities of the future expands.
It's amazing to think that we're still making these discoveries.
It's a testament to the enduring power of these ancient mysteries.
It is. You know, it's funny. We started this deep dive with the idea of spaceships in the Bible. And now we're talking about a whole new way of looking at history, religion, even our place in the universe.
It's been quite a ride, hasn't it?
It certainly has. And for anyone listening who's feeling inspired to continue this exploration,
I encourage you to delve into those ancient texts, explore those myths and legends, and ask those questions that challenge conventional thinking.
don't be afraid to look beyond the surface.
Consider those seemingly impossible possibilities.
Who knows what wonders you might uncover.
Maybe you'll even find your own Merkaba, waiting to take you on a journey of discovery.
Now that's an image. And on that note, we'll wrap up this part of our deep dive.
But the conversation doesn't end here.
Keep those minds open, those imaginations soaring, and until next time, happy exploring.
And remember, the truth, whatever it may be, is out there waiting to be discovered,
Sometimes it's hidden in plain sight.
woven into those stories we thought we knew so well.
Keep searching
Keep questioning,
and never stop exploring the mysteries of the cosmos.
and it really challenges our preconceived notions, doesn't it? Like, we think we've got it all figured out, but then we look at these ancient texts, and it's like, whoa, maybe we don't know as much as we thought.
Right. And speaking of challenging our assumptions, let's talk about the people who actually witnessed these events. The ones who saw these spaceships, these gods descending from the sky.
Okay, yeah.
How did they react?
Well, we can only speculate, of course. Sure. But we can look at how they described those experiences, how they passed those stories down through generations.
Right, like we're trying to get inside their heads.
Exactly. Trying to see the world through their eyes.
And what do we see? What kind of patterns emerge?
Well, one interesting thing is that across different cultures, different time periods, the beings associated with these advanced technologies are often described in very similar ways.
Really? How so?
They're often seen as gods or angels, these powerful, otherworldly beings.
But if we're entertaining the possibility that these beings were actually extraterrestrial visitors,
Those descriptions take on a whole new meaning, don't they?
it's like, oh, maybe they weren't gods in the traditional sense.
Right, but advanced beings with technology that would have seemed like magic.
Imagine seeing a Kavod descending from the sky, this massive fiery vessel.
It would be awe-inspiring, terrifying, maybe even life-changing.
No wonder those ancient people interpreted it as a divine manifestation.
They were trying to make sense of something that defied their understanding.
Exactly. It would be like seeing a god descend from the heavens, wielding technology that was beyond anything they could comprehend.
Like something out of a science fiction movie.
Right. And think about the Ruach, manipulating weather patterns, drying up floods, creating land.
To those ancient people, these would have seemed like miracles, proof of the power of these gods.
So are you suggesting that religion, in a way, might have emerged as a response to contact with extraterrestrial beings?
It's a theory that some scholars have proposed, yes.
That's a pretty radical concept.
It is, but it's a fascinating one to consider.
It really is. And it makes you wonder, did those gods intend to be worshipped?
Or was it a misunderstanding, a clash of cultures on a cosmic scale?
Like they show up with their advanced technology and we're like, you must be gods.
And they're like, no, not really. We just have better spaceships.
I love that. It's like a cosmic miscommunication.
It highlights the importance of perspective, doesn't it?
It does. What might be seen as divine intervention in one context could be interpreted as advanced technology in another.
And that's why it's so important to approach these ancient texts with an open mind, to consider multiple interpretations.
To recognize that our understanding of the past is constantly evolving.
And who knows, maybe by piecing together these ancient clues, we'll gain a new perspective on our own place in this vast and enigmatic universe.
Okay, so where were we? Oh yeah, the Malachim, these space messengers, diplomats, maybe even pilots. But how do they fit in with the Merkaba and the cherubim? Remember we were saying those might be spaceships too.
Right, and remember the Book of Chronicles describes the Merkava as the chariot of the cherubim. We were exploring the possibility that the cherubim themselves might be spaceships.
Yeah, like a whole fleet of spaceships.
Maybe?
So are we picturing the Malachim as pilots of these cherubim spaceships connected to the larger Merkaba, like smaller ships that detach from a mothership?
It's a possibility. The text doesn't come right out and say that, but it's not out there. When you think about interstellar travel, it makes sense to have different types of vehicles, each one with a specific purpose.
Like a cosmic fleet. The Merkaba as the flagship, the cherubim as escorts, and the Malachim piloting them, guiding them through space. Wow, this is starting to sound like a sci-fi movie.
And if the Malachim were messengers, maybe they were communicating between ships, relaying instructions, coordinating movements.
Oh, like in those sci-fi movies where the crew is talking to a smaller ship and telling them where to go. Except in this case, the mission might have been something way bigger. Maybe even shaping our planet or guiding humanity.
These ancient texts are so cool. They give us glimpses into a reality that we just don't think about when we think about history and where we fit in.
I know. I used to love those stories about chariots of fire and angels in the sky. But I never thought they could be descriptions of spaceships and aliens. It's like there's a whole new layer of meaning to these stories now.
And that's the beauty of exploring these ideas with an open mind. We can see those ancient stories as more than just religious texts or myths. They could be windows into our past, a past that might be much more complex and exciting than we ever thought possible.
I don't know about you, but I'm feeling a little overwhelmed. It's a lot to think about, all these different meanings and possibilities.
It can be a little overwhelming.
It feels like I'm looking into this vast ocean, this cosmic ocean, and realizing just how much is out there that we don't know.
But that sense of awe and wonder, that's what pushes us to explore, to ask questions, to try and understand.
Yeah, it makes you want to learn more.
Exactly. Who knows, maybe by putting these ancient clues together, we can figure out where we fit in this vast and mysterious universe.
That's a really cool thought. So where do we go from here? We've talked about spaceships, terraforming, the origins of religion, even interdimensional travel. Where do we go next in our investigation?
The journey keeps going. We've just started to explore these ancient mysteries. There's so much more to learn, so many other texts, traditions, and archaeological sites to discover.
Really? There's more?
Way more. And with each new discovery, we learn more about the past and what the future could hold.
It's wild to think we're still making these discoveries.
It really shows the power of these ancient mysteries they keep giving.
It's funny, we started talking about spaceships in the Bible, and now we're talking about a whole new way of looking at history, religion, and even our place in the universe. This has been an incredible journey.
A wild ride for sure. And for everyone listening, if you're feeling inspired to keep exploring, I really encourage you to look into these ancient texts, explore the myths and legends, and ask those questions that challenge the way we think.
Don't be afraid to go beyond the surface.
Think about those possibilities that seem impossible.
Who knows what you might discover? Maybe you'll even find your own Merkaba to take you on an amazing journey.
And remember, the truth is out there somewhere, waiting to be found. And sometimes it's hidden in plain sight, right in those stories we thought we knew so well. Keep searching, keep questioning, and never stop exploring.
That was beautifully said. So on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive for now. But the conversation never really ends, right? Keep those minds open, those imaginations active, and until next time, happy exploring.